Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome into the Early Bird Pickers podcast. Today is a little bit different than usual. So if you are not familiar with how we do our podcast, What's Up DMV, this is a live recording of a podcast that you can download, listen to it later on Spotify. You can find us on Spotify at the Early Bird Pod. Please check it out. We have a couple of episodes past recorded. We have one with Joe Hollywood. We have fixing audio issues on the one with Storage Auction Pirate. So now's your chance. All right. So let's talk about this today. I am going to talk to you, to tell you all about how to conquer storage lockers. How do you do it? That's a topic for today. Feel free to ask me any questions in the chat. If you've not done a podcast, if you've not done a locker, feel free, ask me any questions that you might have. First, let's talk about this. Let's talk about sponsorships. If you would like to sponsor the podcast, check it out in the bin. You can go into the bin right now, buy it now. You can sponsor our podcast. It's on Spotify. We also have several huge shows coming up. If you could bookmark those shows, that would be amazing. On 11/23, that is this Saturday, 11/23 at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a raid train with Jen, Noah, Tucker's Treasures, a bunch of other great sellers. So please bookmark the raid train on the 23rd. On the 29th, we are going to do an insane show. We have a 24-hour stream. Boss, I will get to your question in just a minute. Thank you so much, boss. Appreciate the question. On the 29th of November, that is Black Friday, we have a 24-hour stream. We are teaming up with Tucker's Treasures. We have a little competition. It's for cards, coins, and comics. And feel free, that's a 24-hour stream. I'm going to try to stay up for as close to 24 hours. You know, I'm early birds, but I don't do late. So we're going to try and stream. We're going to team up with Tucker's Treasures on the 29th. So how this podcast is going to work. So this podcast is being recorded. We're live currently on Whatnot. If you are not familiar with Whatnot, for those of you who are just listening to the audio portion of this, please just download the Whatnot app. Follow us. We are Early Bird Pickers VA. Follow us. You'll learn all about it. Any questions, let us know in the future. For those of you who are currently live in the chat, feel free to get any of your questions about storage lockers in. So I've been doing storage lockers for about a decade and a half. I had plenty of full-time jobs, like real jobs, but I hated all of them. Great education, not useful. So basically for the last 15 years, I've been working on figuring out how to buy storage lockers successfully. For those in the chat, I see you, Americana. I see all you good people. I appreciate you. So get in your questions if you have any questions about storage lockers. I have a rundown that I'm going to get to talk to you about, to give you guys some advice. If you have questions, please drop them in the chat. Okay. So we had a question earlier. I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into the chat. We have a question. Is it worth getting into this business? Seems a very crowded space. Okay. So it really does depend. It gets onto my first topic that I was going to talk to you about was, do you want to do this as a hobby? Is this your part-time gig, or would you like to make a career out of this? Do you want this to become full-time? It's very difficult to enter into this space doing it only as a hobby. I'll tell you why. If you are going to only do this as a hobby, the biggest problem that you're going to have is you're going to end up with thousands of items all over your house, everywhere, in your garage, in your bedroom, in your dining room, in your kitchen, wherever it is, because you're not going to have the proper infrastructure to handle the amount of volume that you are going to take on if you buy a storage locker. If you're not familiar with buying storage lockers, go watch Storage Wars. It's a great example. It's basically bullshit. The way they did it, but it'll give you a good idea of what buying storage lockers is for those of you who listen to the pod. If this is a hobby for you only, you are entering into one of the most competitive fields, one of the most competitive spaces for reselling, and one of the most difficult and most expensive places where you can literally lose your ass on one bad locker. So if you're going to do it as a hobby, here's my rules. I see all your questions. I'll get to them as soon as I can. Here's the rules. If this is just a hobby for you, number one rule, have fun. Have a hell of a lot of fun. Bring a friend with you. Go live on social, show it off, have fun, and don't worry about the money or the infrastructure or anything else. Get a small 5x5, 10x10, maybe. Good morning, Tucker. So it's a hobby, have fun. Don't try and make a bunch of money on it. Only spend the amount of money that you are willing and can afford to lose. It's the same when it comes to any other source of gambling. Only spend the amount of money that you can afford to lose. Don't use a credit card to buy a storage locker if this is a hobby. The reason why is if you're going to output $3,000, $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 on a storage locker and this is a hobby and you don't really know exactly what you're doing, how you're going to sell it and everything like that, it's a very risky business. It's not something for the faint of heart. I'm telling you right now, you can lose your ass very easily. I've done it for 15 years and we still hit bad lockers. I hit $1,000 loss last week, all empty, that we'd had to basically throw everything away. Good morning, White Rabbit. Thank you so much for hanging out, my friend. So my suggestion, if this is just a hobby for you, if this is not your career and lifelong goal, use cash. Use physical cash if you can. If the locker costs $1,000, go to your bank, get $1,000 out. Good morning, Bella. Get $1,000 out and only spend cash if you can. That's my best advice to you if this is a hobby. So again, it's a very competitive, very difficult field to get into if this is just your hobby. Good morning to everybody in the chat. I see you all. And yes, cash is definitely. So if this is something that either it was your hobby and you're looking to get into it as a career, maybe you see some of the other successful sellers out there. Maybe you know some of your buddies who do it full time. I just saw someone said they started a year ago and now it's their full-time gig. So you're transitioning from hobby and you're going to full-time. It's a difficult time period for you because it's a very expensive, incredibly expensive and difficult field right now. When I started 15 years ago, I thought that it was very expensive back then. And that was when I was outputting $1,500, $1,800, $2,000 15 years ago. Now we're outputting $15,000, $20,000, $110,000 for storage lockers. I'm going to repeat, $110,000 for storage lockers. So if you're in that transition period where you're going from hobby and you're going into full-time, I will tell you, it's a very difficult time period for you. You might not want to go full-time unless you really got a handle on it, because it's very high risk right now. It's very difficult to find $300 storage locker that you're really going to just hit it out of the ballpark. And a lot of that has to do with COVID. COVID brought about basically the explosion of online storage lockers. I get questions every day. Where do you buy storage lockers? I see some people in the chat. If you check the show notes up here, for those of you who are live on whatnot, in the show notes, I've listed everything that all the 5 basic storage locker websites that I find my lockers on. So those 5 are Storage Treasures, Locker Fox, Bid 13. That's BID, the number 13, Bid 13. StorageAuctions.com and SelfStorageAuctions.com. Those are the 5 places. Again, it's in the show notes. Good morning, Bougie. Again, that's all that information is in the show notes. So if you are lucky enough to have live storage lockers around you, go to them now. Live storage auctions are the absolute best because you can see everything, you can smell everything, you can see, is there cat hair on the furniture? Is there any damage to the furniture? Are there scratches? Things that you can't see in the photos. Also, does it smell? Is there any pride of ownership in the locker? So, a couple questions I will answer for in the chat setup units. I'm going to talk about setup units coming up pretty soon. So stay tuned for the pitfalls of storage lockers. Someone's asking me, how far do I travel for a storage locker? I don't really care the distance. I'm going to actually talk to you about flying and one-way trips and long-distance storage lockers. Another question I see, what do I look for in a locker? So this is going to get into something that I'm going to talk about, niche versus general buying. So I'll get into all of your questions coming up. I'll probably answer them and what I'm going to go through. And definitely on setup units, because those are really important to talk about. Oh, first, if this is your career, I want you to spend some of your time finding small auctions. It can be either a small auction house. It can be a mom and pop's run storage facility. It can be anywhere that's not on everybody else's radar. If you're only specifically shopping on storage treasures, for example, you're going to be paying the absolute most for your storage lockers. That's where you're going to get into $50, $70, $80, $150,000 storage lockers. If you're just getting into this field, that's not the way to make money. Your return on investment is very, very risky if you're just entering into this and you're specifically or only buying on storage treasures. So number one, if you are in this business full-time, diversify where you buy. Okay. I listed the five places where you can buy online. Do some hunting. Call down your street to your local mom and pop's storage locker facility and ask them, how do you auction off your items, or do you even have auctions? So go off the beaten track, swim against the stream. Everybody else is going to be rushing to storage treasures and Locker Fox and all those sites. Those are great. Don't pay top dollar if you can avoid it. This game 100% is about return on your investment, ROI. 100%. This is only about the return on investment. If you pay $100, you must make $300 profit. Otherwise, it was a bad locker. If you're spending $1,000 on a locker, you need to profit $3,000. That means you need $4,000 in sales coming out of that locker. Otherwise, it does not justify your time, and it doesn't justify all it's going to take to move all of that product. Remember, if you get $1,000 locker and the product, the inventory that you get is worth $5,000, you got to move it, you got to sell it, you got to ship it, you got to figure out what to do with all of the garbage, you got to hire employees perhaps to package all that out, you got gas. So you got tons of money you're going to be outlaying, much beyond that original $1,000 investment. So you should be hitting 3 to 4 times your investment. Can I borrow your brain? Mine's all, ask me all the questions you want, my friend. So next one. Okay. So I used to go crazy about this. This is about profit and loss. I used to go insane. Okay. I don't remember what I had for breakfast, but I remember every single bad locker that I purchased for the last 15 years. I can't tell you all the jackpots. I don't pay attention to all the jackpots. I pay attention to the mistakes that I made so that I could correct it for next time. So what I want to say to you is, do not count your profit and loss. Don't count your P&L every single day. Don't count your profit and losses every single locker. Count your profit losses monthly. Count your profit and losses quarterly. That's the best way we do it, is definitely going to be quarterly. So if you buy 10 storage lockers, okay, let's say you pay $1,000, that's $10,000, and you bought those in 30 days. Please, by all means, if you, on your first storage locker, if you lose that $1,000, don't think about it. Move on. You have more lockers to buy, okay? This is when you're at the casino and you're at the slot machines and you're pulling a slot and you lose $50 on one single bet, you don't even think about it. You bet again, and you bet again, and you bet again. You're growing. You will hit good ones, you will hit bad ones, but it's going to drive you insane if you are only thinking about your profit and loss from every single locker. So project it out over a longer period of time. If you spend $1,000 on that locker, it's not going to take you a week to get that money back. I promise. It's going to take you a month, 3 months. It's going to take you a year or longer to get money out of all the money out of that locker. So do not count your profit and losses daily. It'll make you crazy. You need to know your numbers. You're a business owner. You own your business. Nobody else is telling you you have to wake up. No one else is telling you the uniform. By the way, check the swag. Check it in the bin. You are a business owner. Act like a business owner. Business owners need to know your numbers. How much money does it really cost you to move a storage locker? I have a general idea. If it's a 5x5, if it's a 5 foot by 5 foot storage locker, I know what vehicle I'm going to use. I know what boxes I'm going to bring with me. I know the tape, the bubble wrap. I know the gloves I'm going to wear. I calculate the distance. I calculate, do I need to take a flight? Am I going to fly one way? Am I going to drive it back? Do I need to hire people? How much gas is it going to take? Someone was talking about, don't forget your labels, your printers, your boxes. None of that stuff. Appreciate you, Mindful. Know your numbers. You are a business owner. Do you think Amazon doesn't know how much profit they're making on every single item that they sell? 100%. You must know your numbers. Now, if you're a hobbyist, I don't care about numbers. You're going to have fun. If you're a hobbyist, spend $500, spend $1,000, spend your extra money, spend Aunt Geraldine's $500 Christmas gift that she surprised you with. Spend that on a locker. Do whatever the hell you want. Bella, I'll talk to you about that in a minute. The program we use. So QuickBooks, number one, easiest thing to do. So appreciate you, Blue Collar Collecting. Guys, if I don't directly comment on exactly what you're saying in the chat, don't worry about it. I actually am seeing about it. So don't calculate your profit and loss, and know your numbers. It's incredibly important to know all of your numbers and know your expenses. This game isn't just about $1,000 in, $1,000 out. That's how they get it wrong on Storage Wars, okay? So keep that in mind. Lastly is your infrastructure. Infrastructure is so important if you're full-time. So what exactly am I talking about when I'm talking about infrastructure? So your trucks, your employees, your warehouse, your shipping supplies, how much money you have in the bank. These are all different things that I consider parts of your company infrastructure. Now, your infrastructure is going to grow over time. I'll tell you how it worked for us. It took me legitimately 10 years to purchase a box truck. I don't know if that was the right decision or not, but it was the right decision for me and for my family. I actually bought a box truck and a dump truck at the same time. So I'll talk to you about our infrastructure and how it works. So I went through many different iterations of the best way and the worst way to move inventory. So I used to have a pickup truck and a 28-foot box truck, a 28-foot trailer, very long trailer. The problem I discovered is sometimes facilities cannot accommodate a truck, the tongue on the trailer, and the trailer behind it, because you're talking about like 40, sometimes 45, 50 feet. You can't they won't allow you to enter into their facility. If you're driving 8 hours to pick up a locker with a truck and a 28-foot trailer, you don't know whether or not you can get in and turn around in that facility. That's a problem. You're going to show up and you're going to have to drive your ass all the way back home, and then you're going to have to get a different vehicle. So I sold the 28-foot trailer because it didn't work for us. I bought an 18-foot trailer, much better. But on the same token, this is projected over a long period of time for how we did our infrastructure and how best I move our product. So what works best for me personally is an 18-foot box truck. It's a retired truck from Penske. It cost us $16,000 at auction. It's like a 2018. perfect. Took it in to get it serviced and everything like that. So if you think about it, it cost us 16 grand to rent it, right? Or to buy this truck, 16 grand. How much does it cost you to rent an 18-foot Penske? It's going to cost you $100 a pop plus $1 a mile. If you're driving 200 miles, that's $300 rental, not including your gas, the extra time. And also, you're going to have to re-rent that box truck because you're not going to be able to offload it the very same day that you get your product. So basically, our box truck paid for itself. So my infrastructure, the way I do it, it consists of an 18-foot box truck. It also consists of a Ford F550 with a dump bed, because if you're in this game, you're basically a garbage man, a garbage person. You are going to be shifting and moving more garbage than you've ever imagined in your life. Become friends with the dump facilities, because all the time, daily, weekly, monthly, my monster truck right now, the dump bed, is completely full of garbage that I have to go do because it's going to be raining later today. So I got to get to the dump. I got to dump that truck off before I'm done with, right after I'm done with this podcast. So they're all expenses that a lot of people don't think about when it's full time. Also, let's talk about a warehouse. This is a big issue in my life at the moment. Let's have a conversation about where are you going to put all of this product. Joseph, I am located just outside of Richmond, Virginia. We moved from California a couple of years ago. So, Boss Bob, I see a big issue. Where do you put this product? Okay. So I've taught you so far how to find your product. Now you know where to get your product. Let's say you're going to get a 10 by 20. Okay. Packed floor to ceiling, a 10 by 20. Ironically, I just bought a 10 by 20. A 10 in your basement. I had that problem too, Mike. So if you get a 10 by 20 and it's packed floor to ceiling, that's going to fill two 18-foot box trucks, basically. It's going to fill two 18-foot box trucks full of inventory. You need a place to where you're going to put and house all of this inventory so that you can offload it, clean it, sort it, prep it for sale, and everything else associated with it. So just if people asking where the podcast name, where to find it, The Early Bird Pod on Spotify. So let's talk about warehouses. We actually moved out of California because of the cost of warehouses. We escaped wildfires and other stuff. But one of the most important thing was basically we couldn't afford to buy a house that had a warehouse on the property because California prices are insane. And we also couldn't afford to rent a warehouse because the insurance, when you live in fire areas, we are in Northern California, the insurance is almost the same cost monthly as the warehouse. I wasn't willing to output $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 for a 4,000 square foot warehouse, and half of that was going to be insurance. So we're here in just outside of Richmond, Virginia. If you're interested, so check the show notes. If you're interested in where to find units, check the show notes. I put it in there. Just find them online. So we actually used to rent. We were done renting a warehouse. So we rented a warehouse for just over a year. It was $5,000 a month. It was 5,000 square feet. Beautiful facility. Stunning. The ceilings were as high as you could see. You could pack so much crap in there. It was amazing. 10,000 square foot warehouse. It was like a dream. $5,000 a month. It was absolutely gorgeous, but it was $5,000 a month. The $5,000 a month plus, in order to pay for that $5,000 a month, we had 3 employees. So now we're talking over $10,000 a month. Plus it's an hour commute to the warehouse and hour commute home from the warehouse. So now we're talking about productivity. Remember, this is all about ROI, return on investments. So we left. We closed down that warehouse, and we're currently in the process of building a warehouse on our property. This is the most important thing for us. So this is our next step. So you need to know how much it's going to cost for you to house all of this stuff that you're going to get. If you're going to go, if you're transitioning from hobby to full-time, number one, you better figure out where the hell you're going to put all this crap that you're going to be selling. Very important. Very, very important. All right. So let's answer just a couple of questions in the chat real quick. So how much do we spend monthly on units? Again, I don't calculate monthly, we're more quarterly. So we buy lockers that range in a price, 30, 40, 50,000, $100,000 is kind of our limit. Distance from house, it doesn't really matter. I'll fly wherever it is. I don't really care where it is. How much do we spend? Don't know. Literally every week, every day, every month is completely different from the last. The locker that I just got was a 10 by 20 packed floor to ceiling. We've actually been selling it on Whatnot. And it's like elderly couple locker, beautiful locker, stunning condition. It was like, I think all in, we were $6,000 with gas and labor and everything like that. So that's $6,000, but it's going to take us a long time to get through that locker, weeks of labor before we can realistically buy something else, just because otherwise we'll have a bottleneck of too much product. So exactly. So there's a good question. Sarah says, even a CPA will only calculate your profit and loss quarterly. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So if you're a hobbyist or if you're a professional or career full-timer, let's talk about distance. How far do you travel? How far do you want to travel? If you're live with me on Whatnot, just give an approximate. How many miles have you traveled? How many miles have you driven for a storage locker? Have you flown? Have you taken a flight to pick up a locker? Yeah. 200 miles. Yeah. 200. So let me tell you about this. 25-mile radius, Bella, 200 miles. Absolutely. So do we keep the items we buy? Nope. So here's the thing. It's going to be basically based on your infrastructure and how it works for you. I got 2 boys. I don't really want to fly to California. I don't want to fly across the country and take like a 3 or 4 day trip back, because I'm a family guy. Like, I'm home all the time. Trust me, I'm a hermit. I don't go out. But I don't really care. I will go. I will go to Texas. I will go to Florida. I will go wherever it is. It really doesn't matter. And can you remind me about the inventory question? Mm-hmm. So it's all about return on investment. It's all about ROI, right? So if I'm going to fly to California one way, it's going to cost me a shitload of money. It's going to cost me hotels. I don't have laborers in California that are ready, locked and loaded. So the labor cost is going to be higher. The truck rental is going to be incredibly expensive. Renting a Penske going from west to east is really expensive. Going from east to west is not as expensive. Keep that in mind. You're going to get charged like $1 a mile. Like so you're going to add on probably $4,000 to $6,000 of expenses in addition to the locker that you get. You better hope that you did right. You better hope that you chose a good locker, because if you chose 99 cents a mile adds up quick, especially if you're going 1,000 miles. You're adding $1,000, not including the gas and labor and hotels. And you got to worry about safety and security when you're on the road. So preferably for everybody, find a locker that's right next to wherever you're storing all your crap. So if there's a locker right down the street, I'm willing to pay probably twice as much, 10 times as much as a locker in California. So if there's a $500 locker and it's right next door to me, I'll pay $1,000 for that locker. I'll pay double. I'll pay triple, $1,500, because it's so much cheaper to move it. If that same $500 locker is 500 to 1,000 miles away, I'm not going to pay $1 for it. It's not worth the risk. Again, it really comes down to the bottom dollar. Okay, it's got to make. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. So it's going to add to your expenses, and it's just not worth it. Personally, it's really not. Let's see if I can answer. Inventory. How do we inventory? Holy shit! Let's talk about inventory. Okay, so it really is going to depend on your infrastructure, how you inventory. So let's say if we got a storage locker. If we got a storage locker that was full of ready-to-sell product, okay? If you're live on Whatnot, you can see all this product behind me. This is all brand new Christmas ornaments. We have a massive, crazy Christmas ornament show tomorrow, okay? We're going to be able to sell all the products behind us, behind me right now. All this stuff is going to be sold. We're probably going to sell, I don't know, 500, 600, 700, 800 Christmas ornaments tomorrow at 5-second sudden death, right? It's going to just fly off the shelf as fast as possible. This product is ready to sell. So inventory system for product that's really easy to sell is much different for inventory system for products where you really have to take your time and look through it. And that also gets back to which storage lockers do I choose to purchase? If you're going to buy a storage locker, it might take a lot of research. If you're going to buy a storage locker that's owned, that has a bunch of ephemera in it, let's say, or if it's got autographed memorabilia in it, or if it has comic books, magic cards, Pokemon cards, any collectible, any niche collectible market, if you get a storage locker, that is a slow sell. And I'll tell you why. You need to know what you're selling. You have to do at least enough research to know what are approximate comps to the inventory that you're selling. So I'm reaching behind me as you can't hear it on the pod, but I just grabbed a vintage Yadro Christmas ornament. I know exactly how much this sells for on eBay. 100, I know exactly. I've sold these a million times over, right? So I know what that's worth. I know what it is. I don't have to look it up. I don't have to spend my time or waste my time spending all that time. I also don't have to get it graded. I don't have to do anything with that product. I just grab it off the shelf, show it on camera, and I can sell it. But if your knowledge base is very shallow, if you don't know that, White Rabbit just made a comment in the chat, said, you have to know a little bit about everything in this business. That's true. The depth of your knowledge, if you're doing storage locker, does not have to be as deep as you might think. But your breadth, the width of what you know needs to be insane. You should be able to walk into any flea market and instantly know where the money is on the table. You should be able to get that. Your spidey sense should be tingling in the back of your neck. Your spidey sense should say, you know what? I don't know exactly how much that product is, but I sold something very similar to it in the past, so I don't even have to look it up. I'm going to buy that. The trash to treasure eye. That's exactly what it is. Thanks, Boss Bob. So it really depends. In this locker, in doing stores lockers and doing these facilities and doing any auctions, your knowledge base needs to be very wide as opposed to very deep. Now, let's say if you're an expert at Pokemon, let's say that you know all about Pokemon. Actually, let's do magic cards. That works easier for me because I just dealt with this issue. So I bought a bunch of Pokemon cards for $13,000 on a hunch. $13,000 on a hunch. I felt like it would have been a good deal to buy these magic cards. Now, I was not sure how much they were worth. I had my knowledge base in magic cards is wide enough to know when to spot a deal, but not deep enough to know the value of those cards. I reached out to 7 or 8 big sellers and big buyers on Whatnot. I reached out to all sorts of people. I talked to auction houses. I took pictures. I did, what do you think, Ange? 2 months? 3 months? It's like 2 months of just research on those magic cards. We sold those magic cards for over $100,000. But it took months and months to sell them all. So it has to do with the depth of my knowledge wasn't deep enough. So I had to find another expert that actually could. So that was the slow progress. That's the slow money versus the fast sale, right? The Christmas ornaments, 3-second sudden death, 3-second sudden death, right? This is a volume play on the Christmas ornaments that I'm sitting behind. Whereas if it's something that's worth it, if it's autographs, if it's a sports locker, if something needs to be certified, if you need to get something graded, you need to wait. You need to take your time. Actually, tomorrow I'm getting a Fantastic Four #1 comic book. It took 3 months to get that comic book graded and a couple $100 to get it graded. Just got it graded. It should be here tomorrow. I'm excited to see that book. But it took months to get that money out of there. So let's talk about any questions that I missed, Ange, that you see that I need to answer. It's hard to know when you can go. Well, let's talk about when can you go full time? When can you quit your day job? When can you quit your day job? Ask all the questions. Angie's next to me. She's modding. She'll remind me what it is. So feel free to ask all your questions. And if I haven't answered your questions, I'll do my best to answer them. Okay? So you need to learn you run everything blind. Don't ever run everything blind. Never run anything blind. It's great, fast money, but you'll lose your ass. Long term, you lose your ass that way. Uh, so you're a business owner. Remember that. So you're a business owner. You need to know your product. So when do you know when you can turn full time? So Jace Collectibles One says when you're making double what you make at your full time job at a minimum, and you have a nest egg. I love it. I love it because I love numbers, right? That is an equation that Jace Collectibles One just came up with, right? If you make double what you're making in your day job and you have money stacked away, might be a time that you can take that. So we did it the wrong way. We went from nothing to full time and just said, fuck it. We're going all in and we're going to do it that way. And we're going to make it work. So we started 15 years ago with no money, literally $600. I had $600 in my bank account. That's it. A pickup truck, and I bought 2 storage lockers, and we made it work. I learned about flea markets 15 years ago. I learned about eBay 15 years ago. I learned about donations 15 years ago. Use your donations, please. It's very important. So don't do what we did. Okay. Be financially responsible. But also, if you're listening to this and you're 18, if you're 17, if you're 19, and you're like, I don't know, should I get a job at the deli or should I do storage lockers? Do a storage locker. You got no risk. There's nothing. If you have a place over your head, if you're living with moms and pops, or if you have a roommates or anything like that, if you're younger and you don't have a lot of financial pressures around you, your calculations for whether or not you can go full time is much different than somebody who has 3 kids and is a single mother or single father. Way different calculations going on there. Use your donations. So taxes are important. Write-offs are important. Talk to your CPA about how much money you can donate. So if you go to, let's say if I get we don't like furniture. We don't mess with any furniture. We try not to. We really hate furniture. It's heavy. It's very rarely you're going to get the money out of it. So we donate a lot of furniture. So find a facility, find a place that's close to you that is going to give you a donation receipt. That donation receipt, you can take it to your accountant and you can take it off of your taxes. So curio cabinets are the worst. Yes, they are. There you go. Sarah says, spend your money for a CPA. It'll save you money in the long run. Absolutely. And if you're just getting started, get your CPA now. If this is full-time, if you just went full-time or you're starting a full-time, find a good CPA now. Reach out to us, reach out to other sellers and just say, how do you do your taxes? And it'll save you so much time and effort. So a question, what's your budget to buy a locker when it's a hobby? Your budget is how much money you're willing to lose. Assume, if it's a hobby, assume everything that you buy in that locker is going to be a failure. Assume that you're wrong. Assume that it's going to cost you twice what you spent. So if you spent $1,000, assume it's going to cost you $1,000 to get rid of it and you made a mistake. So you better have $2,000 that you don't mind burning. That's what your budget should be. So, Angie, can you answer the question about health insurance, please? Awesome. So your budget should be whatever you can comfortably lose, okay? If you're buying a locker on credit card, please tell me you're going to pay that credit card off at the end of the month. Otherwise, you're going to get charged your percentage on top of that, which means your $1,000 locker now just costs you $1,200, $1,300 or something like that. Whatever your credit card APR is. So that's why I said pay in cash if you can. Pay in cash. What platform do we use for inventory? We don't use any platforms for inventory. Our inventory is all over the place right now. And the reason why is because we went from a 10,000 square foot warehouse and we're building a warehouse here. So we're currently housed, like all you see behind me is in a 2-car garage. That's what we use. That's actually what probably most people, I think, on Whatnot are using. Most people don't have a warehouse. We're pretty big sellers and we're managing in this small space, but it's definitely constricting, confining. It's difficult when my wife is doing the shipping and packing and I'm trying to run a show at the same time because it's got a conflict of interest. So keep that in mind. Okay. What lockers do you want to buy? What are your favorite lockers? Drop in the chat. What are your favorite types of lockers that you buy? let me know. I have my favorites. I definitely have my favorites. I have my best lockers. I have my worst lockers. So, ooh, Iowa. Iowa just has a very good point. Iowa 42 in the chat just said their favorite lockers are climate controlled lockers. Oh, that was absolute genius. Sealed boxes, medium boxes, tools. Something tells me you like toys. So it really does depend on where do you sell. If you're aiming jewelry, yes, buy a storage locker full of jewelry every time, please. Cram packed lockers where you can't get into the door. Absolutely. Everybody has different niches. Everybody has different ideas of what they want. So I personally am a general merchandise buyer. I'm a general buyer. I'll buy anything at any time for any price. I don't care. I also don't care where it's located, and I don't really care how much there is of it. I'm a general guy, which means I don't limit myself to anything. I don't limit myself to location, to price, to volume, or anything like that. Can I get a QVC from Brenda? Amen. Happy bargain. Amen for QVC lockers. So I'm willing to step into any realm. I don't care. I have enough knowledge and expertise and experience to make money on every type of locker. One of our best lockers was antique cameras. One of our other best lockers was Barbie dolls. One of our other best locker was owned by Bill Romanowski, the NFL football player. Our another best one was owned by World War II spies, female spies who paratrooped behind Nazi lines in France, Nazi-occupied France. So I don't care what it is. However, because of our space that we're located in, like it's constricted space, we've been buying, that's the reason why we've been buying toy lockers. Clean, expensive toy lockers, because we don't have tons of space to sort and inventory everything that we get, because we're in a smaller space. If we were in our beautiful 10,000 square foot storage locker, which or warehouse, I would buy differently, right? So you need to buy lockers that are based on how you can sell it. Where are you going to sell? What platform do you use to sell it? And what audience do you have to buy that? If you are only selling, or if you're only selling on eBay, for example, you have a bottleneck on eBay. eBay has a big bottleneck. From our experience, we did strictly eBay for 12 years, 13 years. We owned a brick and mortar store, like an antique shop, a secondhand shop. We had that for 10 years. So you need to know your customer base. How can you sell whatever it is that you're buying? So to my tool sellers out there, if you sell tools, tool lockers are phenomenal. The profit margin on tool lockers are astronomically high, but you're probably going to end up selling them on Facebook Marketplace, and you're probably going to end up selling them at flea markets, which is a different way to sell. We don't sell that way, so I hate tool lockers, personally. If I find Snap-on, I am a happy camper. I don't really care. I love Snap-on, right? So if you are a toy seller, and if you're a toy seller and you're stepping into storage lockers, good luck. Good luck. Because all of the biggest sellers on Whatnot are chasing after the same toys that you are looking for. You're not going to find a beautiful $1,000 toy locker. You're going to pay $7,000, $10,000, $50,000 for a toy locker. I was bidding on one yesterday that got canceled at $8,500 in Maryland. Americana knows. Americana knows. I see you in the chat saying, yeah, those toy lockers, they ain't cheap. They ain't cheap. Jen knows, right? You all know. And you're still gambling. You're still gambling. You don't know. You hope that $10,000 investment that you're making, remember, it's not $10,000. You still got to move it. You still got to clean it. You got to sort it, research it, take the gas, pay employees. Shoe lockers. Joseph, you hurt my heart. Why you got to bring up old shit, Joseph? Why you got to talk about shoe lockers like that? 15 years in this game. 2 weeks ago, I lost $1,000, 100%. Because it was 150 empty shoe boxes, all empty Jordan. Actually, there was 3 pairs of shoes. 2 were dirty, 1 was ripped. Everything smelled like cat pee. So I in general, I'm not even joking. 15 years in this game, it happens. I don't care who you are. It happens. This is why you can't calculate your P&L, your P&L. You can't calculate your profit and loss daily. The Jordan boxes were worth money. Again, time is money. It's not worth my time to sell boxes of Jordans. They all went to get recycled. It was an online auction. That's the difference. See, if it was a live auction, I wouldn't have bought it because I would have been able to see the clues. So it happens to us all. Somebody asked about pitfalls and they asked about setup lockers. This is a perfect example, a perfect time to talk about what are bad lockers and what do they look like. Let's talk about the downside of doing this business. Okay, a setup locker. What is a setup locker? First of all, if you're live in the chat, thank you so much for being here. Check our Buy It Now. If you want to sponsor our podcast, we would love it. We got a bunch of shit for sale. Buy some merch. Send some love. It's a great time to sponsor the podcast. You'll get a couple minutes of us just talking about you and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to promote the shit out of ourselves. Help us make some money. We appreciate you. But the pitfalls of this business, set up lockers. What are set up lockers? First of all, raise your hand in the chat if you've bought a setup locker. I'm going to raise my hand as high as possible. And if you've bought a storage locker, if you consider yourself a professional, you've hit one. You've hit one. I promise you. You hit them. Okay? So a setup locker is, I got to explain to you how the lean process works. And this lean process has got to be the most asinine, idiotic, atrocious, embarrassing process of buying items I've ever heard of. But here's how the lean process works. Let's say I, Michael Sturgeon, owe $1,000 on my 10 by 10 foot storage locker and I die. Oh, let's say I'm in jail. I go to jail. Okay. That's easier. That's easier than death. So I went to jail. I owe $1,000. I'm not going to pay it because I'm in jail. Okay. Now let's say, one of my buddies, let's say Jen is bidding on my locker. I owe $1,000 to the facility, and Jen pays $10,000 for my storage locker. The storage facility takes that $10,000. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to take the $1,000 that I still owed. Okay, that goes to the company. There's $9,000 left. That $9,000, what happens to that money? Part of that money, a small portion of that money is going to go for fees and all this other shit, like a couple $100 is going to go. The remainder of the money, let's say $8,500, goes to me, goes to my lazy ass that wasn't willing to clean out my locker because I'm now in jail. Okay. So what that does, because the money goes back to the renter, it incentivizes me to make my locker look as good as it possibly can so that I can make the most money on the backside of that lien. So let's say I know I'm going to lose. I know I'm going to jail tomorrow. I'm going to go to jail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my own storage locker and I'm going to take a black Sharpie pen and I'm going to write grandma's jewelry box, Nintendo video games sealed. I'm going to write military items. I'm going to write toy collections, guns. I'm going to put a safe in the front center of my locker. And on top of the safe, I'm going to put a couple rolls of coins. I'm going to put a little stack of silver dollars, right? So when poor Jen happens across my locker, she says, holy shit, this guy has coins and toys. I see a box in the back that says grandma's jewelry. I see dad's World War II collectibles. I'm going to pay $10,000 for that locker. So Jen just stepped on a landmine. And it happens to us all. I stepped on $1,000 landmine from whoever that person is that sold me that I got lucky. I only paid $1,000. I only lost $1,000. That is a very good loss. in my mind. We lost $10,000. $10,000. Our worst, the worst hit that we ever got was on $10,000. It was a 10 by 15 or 10 by 20. It was about 7 to 8 years ago. Beautiful. A beautiful locker full of dealer boxes, that all the dealer boxes were sealed, and they were all of Power Rangers and Teenage Mutant Ninja toys that would have been sent to KV Toys and Toys R Us. It was packed full of these boxes. Can anybody guess what was inside those boxes? Anybody guess what was inside those boxes? Straight trash, homie. It was garbage. It was all garbage. We paid $10,000 for a locker full of garbage. Crumpled newspapers, food, all trash, right? We hit a landmine. We stepped on a landmine. Somebody got us good, okay? We've hit I think we've hit 2 or 3 setup lockers. It doesn't happen to us regularly, but buyer beware. As good as that locker might look to you, if you don't see the money, beware. Turn into Liam Neeson. That's right. Right? So my advice to you is, when you're buying a locker, your budget for that locker, if you're a professional, if this is your full-time budget, it should be on what you actually see, not on what you think is in the boxes. I don't care how beautiful the black tubs with the yellow boxes look. I don't care how pretty they look. I know, I'm talking to you. You are addicted to black boxes with yellow tops. If you can't see what's inside them, you don't know, and it's a gamble. If you are gambling, you are not a professional, and you will be out of business faster than you realize. You may hit a jackpot. You may get lucky, but this is not a gamble. I am not a gambler. I don't risk money. Okay? I don't go to casinos. I don't take $5 bets. I don't take $1 bets. I don't even take gentleman bets. I don't gamble with my money. I love my money. If my money is going to leave me and leave my bank account, it's because I know it's going to come back. Okay? When I hit the shoe locker, that was my arrogance thinking that I know better than other people. That was complete arrogance play. I hit 15 lockers in a row that have been jackpots. I'm on a roll. Everything is breaking my way. I'm sure that these shoes are in there, even though I couldn't see any of the shoes. That was me being arrogant after 15 years. And when I was cleaning out the locker, I'm telling you right now, I laughed at myself and I said, after 15 years, you do not know what you're doing, Michael. I said it to myself. Be humble. Be humble. If you do not see the product, do not guess, because you don't know if it's in there, right? So if I see, for example, if I'm buying a locker and I see Nintendo games, I see Pokemon games, I see product, I can see the $1,000 in front, guess what my limit is? It's $1,000. If someone wants to pay $1,001, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it at all, because to me, it's out of my comfort zone. The reason why my hit rate on lockers, I haven't calculated, but legitimately, I'm not trying to boast. I'm genuinely not trying to brag or anything like that. We're at like a 96 to 97% hit rate, which means we're at least doubling our money on 97% of the lockers we get. And a lot of the other lockers are either break-even points, but it rarely is at a loss, except for the damn shoe lockers. Thanks for reminding me of that, Joseph. So just keep that in mind, okay? I don't care how long you've been in this game, there are setup lockers. Now, another pitfall, sister lockers. This is very, very important. Sister lockers are the bane of my existence. I hate lockers where there's more than one. I'll tell you why. If you come across, let's say, some person, they own 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. The most I've seen was 17 lockers owned by one person, and that was Brenda, the QVC lockers. That was our $105,000 adventure. Fantastic adventure. The problem with sister lockers, the problem when there's more than one locker that is owned by people, by the same person, is that you have to buy all of them. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a couch with no cushions. You're going to end up with a Nintendo with no Nintendo games. You're going to end up with a left shoe and not a right shoe because you don't know what products are where. So if you're going to buy a 10 by 10 and then you find out there's a sister locker, guess what? You better buy both 10 by 10s or all 3 10 by 10s. As a matter of fact, right now, you can go online. There is a beautiful locker on Storage Treasures. I'll give you a hint. It's in Missouri. There's 3 lockers, and they are beautiful, full of trains. There's probably hundreds of thousands of dollars of trains in there. Joe Hollywood, I see you blessed to chat. Thank you so much, guys. We're going to run a giveaway. We're going to talk all about Joe Hollywood because it's incredible. What's up, Joe? What's up, my guy? We appreciate you. Can you enter? We're going to do a sponsor. Joe Hollywood just sponsored for $50 gift away. Guys, so Joe Hollywood, by the way, there you can go check on Spotify. We have a podcast. We did an episode with Joe Hollywood. He's incredible. So follow Joe Hollywood. Just show love to somebody. If you want to ask advice and you want to know anything about this business, talk to Joe Hollywood. We're going to put up a $50 gift card for you shortly, sponsored by Joe Hollywood. So if it's a sister locker and you're a professional, you're stepping on a potential landmine, and it's very, very dangerous. So the difficulty behind it is that if it's a 10 by 20 and there's a sister locker or perhaps twin sister lockers, you're going to end up with an insane amount of product. What if that first locker is terrible? What if that first locker is full of party light candles? What are you going to do? Because you now have 3 10 by 20s jam-packed full, and now you have a bottleneck in your business. So not only do you have the expenses of more than one locker, you're going to have 1, 2, 3 or more lockers. Not only do you have that, you also just doubled, tripled, quadrupled your risk factor. You just made it more difficult. You made it more expensive for yourself, and you had better pray. You better pray to whatever spiritual element that you pray to, that first locker is good, that everything in that locker is worth it. It's incredibly important, guys. We are sponsored today by the one and only Joe Hollywood. For all of your sports cards, for all of your breaking needs, please, by all means, check out my friend Joe Hollywood on Whatnot, on Insta, on Facebook. You can find him everywhere on the webs. Joe Hollywood is an incredible breaker. He is one of the most prolific sports card breakers in the hobby. He has turned back time. He's given this hobby a fantastic name. Joe Hollywood is where to go. Please follow, befriend, and meet my good friend Joe Hollywood. He is a legend in the hobby. He breaks everything, every kind of sports, everything you need. Basically, Joe Hollywood has it and does it. He will help you pull out your Tom Brady rookie. He has pulled some of the most incredible packs, some of the most incredible cards out of the most rare, hard to find sports boxes. If you do it right, Joe Hollywood will hand deliver these items to you. It's incredible. Please check out Joe Hollywood on Whatnot and across all your social media platforms. In addition, I recorded an episode with him. If you want to learn about the origin story, who is Joe Hollywood and how he runs his business, if you'd like tips and tricks, if you'd like to get into the business, or if you're just into an hour of incredible stories and entertainment, please check out Joe Hollywood. Thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate your sponsorship and your help. And with that, everybody, Early Bird Pickers VA, we are signing off for today's episode. I'd like to thank Whatnot for this incredible platform, for allowing us to grow our brand and our business. I'd like to thank all of you crazy freaks and geeks out there in Whatnot land coming to say hi, coming to help me out in the chat. Please check out all of our future podcasts. Please follow us on Whatnot and across all your social media platforms. We do live unboxing. We sell everything. We're in competitions. Early Bird Pickers VA. Find us on Whatnot. And with that, Early Bird Pickers VA, we say peace.